The crowd is seeing this cortege coming in once again through the tunnel. Everybody is on their feet. They're on their feet in respect of Senzo. My colleague Ayanda Mhlongo is on the field. Ayanda, what can you see?
Well, indeed, thank you very much, Blaine. And you can see now the South African police band leading the coffin of Senzo Meyiwa as he makes his way into the stadium. Earlier on, of course, in those visuals, Blaine, I'm sure you saw what they were trying to do was just to get him on one last journey around the stadium, just so that his fans could see that coffin closely, so that the fans could send their farewells to Senzo. And we were close by with some of those fans, and indeed they were extremely emotional. It's very difficult, Blaine, and I know you've been repeating that over and over again. It is a very sad, and I think when you see something like this now, we can all see, and we're all saying that indeed Senzo has left us. This is now the car that is carrying the coffin of Senzo Robert Meyiwa. He's making his last journey through a stadium where he played many times. I'm standing by here, Blaine, and I can actually see the fans, some of them saluting. As we all know, that Orlando Pirates salute when they cross their hands. They are saying, "Hamba kahle bhaga bhaga, hamba kahle Senzo Meyiwa." Behind the coffin, the SABC band, we now see all the dignitaries. I see going past here the chairman of Orlando Pirates, Dr. Ivan Khoza. This must be a very difficult time for this man. I also see a businessman, Mr. Patrice Mutsipe. We are seeing members of the team, the Orlando Pirates. These are his team members. They are come here. They're all here to bid farewell to one of their own, to say to Senzo, "Hamba kahle bhaganiya." It's just not just Orlando Pirates team players. There are so many of them. They're all here. It's an incredible scene to see. There's also members of other clubs that are here. I see players from Platinum Stars, players from Kaizer Chiefs. They're all here to lend their support to the Buccaneers, to lend their support to the family, to lend their support to the fans, and together to say to the fans of Orlando Pirates, to the family of Senzo Meyiwa, that they're with them in their pain. They've come here to bid their farewells to Senzo. It's quite an emotional scene. It's beautiful to see, yet very sad. Supporters of the Orlando Pirates Supporters Club, those who are leading the supporters, sharing the pain. This is a very emotional day, very sad day for the Orlando Pirates supporters, the supporters of football in our country. On the other end, we see the family. They have been making their way to the marquee. That will be Senzo's parents, his siblings, his cousins, close friends to the family, close neighbors. They're also making their way now to the marquee. Senzo Meyiwa making his last and final journey in a venue very befitting, accompanied by the South African Police Band. Behind them, dignitaries. This is indeed a very sad day. As we can see there, one of the fans, this is one of many fans struggling to hold on. Incredible scenes here. Very, very emotional time. Earlier on, we saw them cheering, we saw them dancing, we saw them laughing, we saw them here to celebrating Senzo's life. But now the mood has completely changed. The mood has changed. We see tears. They are now silent. Senzo Meyiwa, 27 years old, making his last journey through the Moses Mabhida Stadium.
Indeed, Ayanda, it's a somber occasion. We can see people visibly shaken, crying tears right here at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Ayanda, you've covered this when it happened. Just take us back to what happened in Umlazi. How was that reaction when they heard that Senzo was no longer with us?
Well, I'll tell you plain, it was a shocking. I think the entire country was shocked. As you know, that the news, of course, it happened at night. Only in the morning were some people now getting the confirmation from the family, from the Orlando Pirates Club themselves. We were at Senzo's house early that morning. Neighbors, emotional. You know, in the plane, I remember at that time there was not a lot that we could actually have got out of the family. We were able to speak to Siyabonga. You spoke to Siyabonga earlier on.
Yeah.
He's much better now, but I tell you, on that day plane, it was really difficult, even to get words out of him.
Yeah.
We were able to get the father as well. We spoke to Senzo's father, Mr. Samuel Meyiwa, and I've never seen a man so lost. I've never seen a man so broken. And it was when we did that interview, when we spoke to his father, with those sad words that that bullet that killed Senzo may as well have killed him. I think those words were extremely difficult, that he said he was dead inside. Yeah. He mentioned Senzo having been everything to him, the pillar of strength in the family, having taken care of the family. Senzo was responsible for his entire family. You know, and what also made one understand plain who Senzo was. And I know that we're in stadiums, we speak about how Senzo has performed, his professional career. But there's a lot that we learned outside of that. Yeah. We learned that from the neighbors. We learned that from the children. Many people don't know that Senzo had the Senzo Meyiwa tournament, which started in December. And every year he held that tournament for youngsters in his community. It was very sad to see those youngsters not knowing what will happen. In fact, about 2 weeks prior to his death, he had actually been at Umlazi, meeting with those that they run the tournament with, discussing plans on how they were going to grow that tournament further. This young man made an incredible gift to his family, to his community. His neighbors spoke of the love. There's one old lady who said that Senzo would give him buy her groceries. Yeah. You know, she had lost. She didn't say it was a neighbor. She said she had lost a son. She said she had lost a grandson. His neighbors said they'd lost a brother. The kids said they'd also lost an uncle. They'd lost a role model. Yeah. It was incredibly sad, Blaine.
Indeed.
And that throughout the week. Very emotional.
We just saw Itumeleng Kuna. He was also very close to Senzo. I remember in the memorial service in Johannesburg, he spoke about this close rivalry between them, a friendly rivalry, and both of them from a young age fighting for that number one position. He was a broken man, speaking about his relationship with Senzo. Going back to Umlazi, you spoke about how he was humbled, and many people, from what I heard, we were chatting earlier on, saying that he was humble. He used to play with the kids on the streets. He didn't, take that normal proverbial celebrity status.
Absolutely.
And he was down to earth. And I think he was organizing a bit of programs, not only involving football, but swimming.
Absolutely.
And golf. I heard he was a prolific golfer.
Absolutely.
So,
no, he was. Yeah. He was. Because, I mean, it wasn't just the young boys, of course, they're the ones that mainly play soccer. So he was also considering the girls as well, and sort of activities that young girls could also involved in. Apparently, he also used to visit the school that he went to, the primary school, and he would hold a lot of talks, mentor the young kids there, the pupils at that school. And Blaine, it was quite a beautiful thing to see. I tell you, on the days that we were there, how many kids would be running around, sometimes making a noise. The adults would be chasing them away. And I remember one man saying, no, do not chase them away. This is actually what Senzo was like. Kids would be exploring outside his house. They'd be playing. This is how they were when Senzo was. And so, of course, they had to allow the children also their opportunity to be playing outside. Indeed, he was doing a lot of work. And I think, as I said earlier on, we've seen Senzo, and I know you've been talking about his career, but we've also had an opportunity to know who Senzo Meyiwa was outside of the stadium, outside of the spotlight. And just on that tournament, Blaine, I mean, a lot of people probably want media coverage for that. He never wanted that, and that is why a lot of people didn't even know that Senzo would have these tournaments, that he had these engagements, because of the person that he was. It wasn't for glory, it wasn't for publicity. This was him giving back to his community.
I guess those children saw themselves in Senzo, saying that if he can do it, they can. He came from humble beginnings in Umlazi, and all the way, I think it was over a period of 14 years, from 2000 to 2014, coming from development to first team choice, they really looked up to him, and he was a real role model to them.
Absolutely, he was. And when you're coming from kids that are coming from rural areas, that are coming from townships, they need to see that they too can make it. So Senzo was sort of that reassurance that he comes from the dusty streets of K section, Umlazi, and his house is in sort of in an area that is quite hidden away. It's a windy road that a man, a young man that comes from an area like that, a township boy really could make his way up to some of the biggest stadiums across the country, to the stadiums of the Africa. So those kids saw him as a role model. They wanted to follow in his footsteps, and they really saw that if Senzo could do it, then absolutely they could do it too. So he brought a lot of hope as well, Blaine. And I tell you, I now know who Senzo Meyiwa was, and I tell you, he was an incredible human being.
Indeed, silence has fallen here over the Moses Mabhida Stadium as people stand pat and watch the coffin making its way towards the family. It will be placed in front of the family. Indeed, a somber moment, a poignant moment right here at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. This is what the people of Umlazi, the people of Gauteng, the people of Limpopo, the people from around South Africa, they've come here to see this. They've come here to bid farewell to Senzo. His body will then be taken to the Hero Acres Cemetery. As you said, you'll remember Nat Nakasa, the anti-apartheid journalist who's buried there. So indeed, Ayanda, in good company.
Oh, he absolutely he is, and it's not just a Nat Nakasa played. Heroes Acre, just the name of itself, Hero, just tells you that there are a lot of activists, and I know you alluded to this earlier, many activists that come from the area of Chesterville, and a lot of local heroes also are buried at Heroes Acre, Chesterville. So, and most definitely, Senzo will be amongst great people, and he himself has done great. He's lived a wonderful life. Blaine, I think the people that we are seeing now come through. I'm just trying to see if we can recognize some of them, but these are some of the, yes indeed, there is Senzo's brother. These are some of the family members, the Meyiwa family, close cousins. We see one of the elderly gentlemen here. These are the people that we saw them at Senzo's home. They've been coming through throughout the course of the week. This is Senzo's extended family coming through now and making their way to the marquee.
Indeed, a befitting funeral service for one of the greats in South African football. There's his coffin. It stands there as the South African Police Service, former guard of honor. Silence once again has fallen over the stadium.
Over to you.
Lucky Lekhwati, in your shot, is former captains, Pirates Football Club. They've broken, you can see, they've broken. Tears melancholy.
in respect of
Some people
our
just can't take it.
icon,
It's too emotional. Dropping them to their seats.
Senzo Meyiwa.
It is indeed, Ayanda, a point in time here in Durban.
Absolutely.
Our captain,
Absolutely plain.
national goalkeeper.
Very emotional scenes.
And then
A
the
very
Pirates
difficult
coach.
time for the players,
As he
for the
does
supporters.
that, we request that there be no movement.
It's a
in the
disciplined
stands.
crowd here. They only focused
The family members,
on Senzo
please move
and what he
faster
meant
and
to
quietly
football, what he
your
meant to
seats.
them. You know, many people see him on TV, see his acrobatic dives, saving week in, week out, and they feel close to him. They feel almost like, you know, he's approachable. And indeed, you know, and from what we spoke to the people at Umlazi, he was approachable.
Oh, absolutely, he was. I remember playing, when they've had the games that they used to play here, and I know you would know that they'll try to rush the players out, of course. So, they needed to go get ready just before the big matches, and you'd grab Senzo and just quickly want a word, and he'd stop, just say like 1 minute, coach, just a minute, coach, just so that he could give us an interview. That is what he was like. He always had a smile on his face, a very humble person. And I think that's also the sentiments that we're getting, Blaine, that we got from the supporters. They are here, that they would stop him to take a picture, and he would always stop. He was always willing to sign autographs, to take pictures, selfies we have nowadays. So really, he was a wonderful soul, an incredible person.
Senzo Mkhunu, as well as Dr. Irvin Khoza, was in the shot earlier on. The Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the chairperson of Orlando Pirates in the shot. Remember, this is an official provincial funeral, so flags have been flown in half-mast. You saw a flag earlier on. Fans just looking, wondering why. I think that's the big question, why? And the investigations are continuing. We're following that up closely. One of Senzo's biggest fans. You've seen her in many games. She thought of him as a son, and I remember one of the interviews she was saying that when she heard Senzo had died, she just dropped down and cried. Flags at half-mast in honor of Senzo Meyiwa.
Siphakame, sihloniphe ukuculwa kweculo lesizwe. Amavuvuzela sime kancane.
Now let's just listen in to the national anthem of South Africa.